Hello again, and welcome to episode 8 of Ask the Doc, Life Lessons You Should Have Been Taught in School. I'm Dr. Vercillo, your host for today. The purpose of this episode is to discuss saving money and the importance of pennies. Yeah, you heard me, pennies. 2 comments to set the stage for this. 1, in business, to make more profit, I have 2 choices. I either increase my sales and thereby my gross profit, or I reduce operating costs. Since it is typically very difficult to increase sales at a mature company, most firms opt to continue applying downward pressure on costs. It is no different in your personal life, okay? You either increase your income or you cut your expenses. What we're going to talk about today is ways to cut your expenses. Okay, the second comment, actually a question, relates to an understanding of compounding and interest. Which would you prefer? $1,000 a day or $31,000 in a 31-day month. Therefore, at the end of that 31 days, you get $31,000 or a penny a day doubled for the same 31 days. You may have heard this before, but if you answered the question by saying, I'll take the $31,000 and I'm going to run like crazy, you'd be way off. The penny doubling provides a greater than $1 million at the end of the 31 days. So this is the backstory to this week's topic. Now, as always, I start each podcast by providing some success tips followed by a stock pick and then the main topic. So let's talk about the success tip of the week. It's associated with the psychology of success. In order to be successful, you need to, as I explained in a previous episode, to have the right mental mindset. To do that, you need to let go of all the limiting behaviors that hold you back. Okay, these behaviors include 1, letting naysayers and negative people control your destiny. These people are toxics. Screw the opinion of others, love yourself first, and forget about what others are saying and don't care about what they say. You are who you are, and you should love who you are. 2, avoiding problems, hoping that they're going to go away. This is a serious one because they won't. Tackle the problems head on and come up with some solutions. Number 3, negative self-talk and negative self-sabotage. These are the kinds of people who literally convince themselves they're not good enough. Well, using positive affirmations each morning instead might be a better approach to this. You got to have the right mental state of mind where you're positive and you believe you can do what you're setting out to do. Number 4, being defensive when others offer you an alternative viewpoint. Can't stand this one. I hate defensive people. Number 5, forgetting about the positive things in your life. Focus on them. You know what? If you have a roof over your head and you have food in the refrigerator and you have a car that you can drive and you have a job, you have nothing to complain about. So focus on the positives. Number 6, being afraid of failure. Failure needs to be not only embraced, but accepted and most importantly, used as a training tool. For every 3 failures, you'll eventually get a success. So stop worrying about the failure. Number 7, inaction is the death knell of success. Procrastinating and not taking action to improve things. Every single morning when I wake up, the very first thing I do is I open my eyes and I say, what am I going to do today to inch 1 inch closer to my goals for the next 3 years? And then finally, the need to always be right. Let me tell you something. You're not. So listen to the counsel of others and listen to alternative viewpoints. Okay, I hope this helps. And you should print out these 8 behaviors and make a plan to rid them from your personality. That's what I would do. All right, next up is the stock pick of the week. This stock pick is considered somewhat controversial because some people say that it's going to be dead in about 90 to 120 days. I'm not one of those because right now hedge fund managers are saying it's a strong buy signal. So it has a mixed bag of reviews, but be very critical when you choose this stock and watch it very closely. In fact, check the news, check their press releases, and check online forums for whispers about this stock. Okay, the stock is Gabelli Equity Trust, trades under the symbol GAB. This fund focuses on providing long-term growth of capital. It has a market cap of about $1.3 billion. It has a price earnings ratio of 4.5, which of course is considered very, very low because most of what they do is profit. and then has a dividend payout of a hefty 11%. Remember what I told you, heavy dividends equals risk. So yes, this fund is risky, but it has paid out huge dividends consistently. I've been in it for a year and I have been fine. So here's what I want you to do. The smart money says for the next 90 days, the stock's going to be fine. I want you to invest in it, and then I want you to watch it every week, every month, and I want you to be careful. After the 90 days, take a look at whether or not you should stay in the stock. I've made a bunch of dividend money on this stock, so I'm a believer in it. All right, now, the other thing you could do to protect yourself, for those who are out there who are saying Tony's out of his mind getting into this stock, is set up a stop loss. So set up a stop loss. It's trading at $5 a share. Set up a stop loss at $4, so it automatically triggers and kicks the stock and sells it at $4 if you want to limit your downside risk. And as always, get suggestions from a licensed professional before investing in anything that I tell you. Remember, these are suggestions and just merely my opinion. So again, GAB, I've been in it, like I said, for about a year. I'm going to stay in it for the next 3 or 4 months, and then I'm going to watch it and make a decision whether I should tweak that portfolio, move out of the stock or not. But in the short run, it's a very good stock. Okay, let's get to the heart of this week's episode, which is cutting costs. To cut your living and overall living expenses, you need to do 2 things. First, look at every single expense. And second, you're going to have to sacrifice. I know it sucks. When I tell you get rid of that Starbucks coffee, people are going to balk at it. But look, if you want to get ahead in your life and you want to cut your expenses and you want to invest in the long term and you want to become financially independent, then this is the stuff you have to do. Okay, let's get into it. The first thing I want you to do is print out 90 days worth of your bank statements. I also want you to print out anything that you used, like PayPal, Venmo, Apple Pay, or anything else. Print out all those statements for 90 days. Then I want you to either use QuickBooks, Quicken, or just an Excel spreadsheet. I don't care what it is. And sometimes the bank will give it to you in an Excel spreadsheet and allow you to carry it over and give you the expenses. Okay, put all your income expenses into a spreadsheet called Where Did the Money Go? If you will. And then you're going to realize that stuff like streaming, TV, Starbucks coffee, and other things are going to jump off the page. Number 2, then set target spending levels for each expense category. So it's okay to spend money on clothes. It's okay to spend money on personal items, but budget for it. Don't just do it. You know, my understanding is every time we have looked at somebody's expenses, there's typically around 20% that we can cut. 20%. Imagine how much more investing you could do if you cut your living expenses by 20%. Number 3, I want you to consolidate your streaming services. I know this stinks, but most of us have Hulu, Netflix, Peacock, Paramount, and a bunch of other stuff. In the secret episode, I'm going to disclose to you how to go about consolidating the streaming services so you get one service and some local TV in order to take care of it. Number 4, eliminate extraneous expenses such as expensive coffee, as I alluded to, like Starbucks or going down the street to another coffee house and paying $3.50. Make your coffee home in a pot and get yourself a cup of coffee for 50 cents, So that's important. Number 5, conduct an electricity audit. Now, you can get the audit forms from your local electric company, or you could also go online. In a secret episode, I'm going to tell you where you can go get the actual energy audit that you could use in your house and do it yourself rather than waiting for the electric company to audit what you're doing in the house. Okay, number 6, opt for energy efficient light bulbs, LED bulbs, and a smart thermostat that you could operate from your phone. Did you realize that just by lowering the temperature in your house about 6 to 8 degrees, you'll lower your monthly cost of electricity by about 10%? Crazy, right? So when you're sleeping or you're away, keep that temperature down. Number 7, believe it or not, I want you to use your dishwasher. I know it sounds counterintuitive, but especially if you have a new unit that limits the water usage. You use twice as much, if not 3 times as much money when you wash dishes by hand. So if you want to save money on water, then you should use your dishwasher. Number 8, get a copy of your most recent electric bill. Look for peak and off-peak times. Then reserve using most of your appliances, particularly your laundry, on the off-peak times. You really don't want to be spending a lot of money on devices and TVs and appliances throughout the peak times that electricity is used. So you want to take a close look at that and try to use them on off-peak. Number 9, lower your water heater temperature to 120 degrees. Most of them are set at 140. Much lower than that may not work, or maybe 110, but don't go much lower. But I do lower it so you don't have to heat it as much and have a higher bill. Number 10, check and replace all the filters in your house. The refrigerator water filter, the house water filter if you have one, and then a heating and AC filter. That should be replaced every 90 days about, unless you have an extended air filter type. In the secret episode, I'm going to tell you exactly which filters to use, which LED light bulbs to use, and everything that we're talking about here in these steps are going to be detailed for you in terms of which products I recommend to handle the suggestion I mentioned. And again, remember, I don't get anything for this. I'm not getting paid by these companies to tell you this. It's just tried and proven method of using these products over time and then reading consumer reports and really paying attention to what's online before I chose a product. Okay, number 11. Go around to each room in the house and check to see if a device or an appliance might still be using electricity while it's plugged in, but off. Did you know that some devices and appliances still use electricity when they're plugged in and not even on? Trace elements electricity. So be careful of that. Number 12, considering going solar, especially if your state offers a tax incentive and zero down. It's hot right now, of course, and solar will cut your bill a few $100s a month. Number 13, conduct a life cycle evaluation on all your devices and your appliances. Newer Energy Star type appliances, newer style TVs, newer tankless water heaters, computers all use a lot less energy than their predecessors. So you need to make a determination as to whether or not you could save money by upgrading your appliances or your devices. And of course, that costs money. I know could be potentially a problem, but in the long term, you just look at the return on investment, and if it makes sense, you do it. 14, weather strip the entire house. I know I have this problem in Montana. Every winter, I have to literally weather strip all the windows and all the doors because of the amount of leakage. So I would highly suggest you go after all the windows, all the doors, and eliminate as much of the leaks as you possibly can. 15, wash in cold water. Again, a controversial thing, but be careful, men. Don't wash everything in one load. Separate the colors and the whites. I know I've had a problem with that in my past. The colors are going to leak, but regardless, wash in cold water. Number 16, add aerators to each of your faucets to lower the water usage. I know some people don't like this. You could also use a shower head that uses only about 1.5 gallons a minute of water versus 2.5 gallons a minute. So that could save you some additional water bills. Number 17, recaulk all your windows and adjust all the doors for better fit and sealing. Make sure the caulking is clean. Number 18, plant trees on the side of the house that is the most sunny. Believe it or not, that'll shade the house and help you reduce your heating expense. Number 19, rebid all your insurance costs. Go out online and tell people you are interested in getting homeowners and auto, etc. insurance and bid it out. Typically, you'll save yourself $300, $400, or $500 a year when you switch to one of the other firms. Okay, and then number 20, forget that sports car. Drive a car that costs less than insurance and gets at least 30 miles to the gallon. If you rewatch episode 4, where I talk about car buying and I talk about the cars that make the most sense and the cars that have the best resale value and highest miles per gallon and lowest operating costs, that's something you should think about. And yes, there's tons of us who like exotic cars and we like to get a best car. Men typically identify with their cars, so they want something fancy. But again, it all depends on what your goal is. You know, if your goal is to be financially independent, then the need for that Lamborghini comes down a little bit less, unless you're a multi-millionaire and that money doesn't matter anything to you. Okay, with that, it's time to say goodbye. Again, if you like what you're seeing and hearing, please leave me a comment. Leave me a good review. If you don't like something, please tell me, email me. Let me know what else you'd like to hear about. I'd love to hear from my subscribers. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel, and I'd love for you to become part of the Patreon family by listening to the secret episodes. With that, it's Dr. V signing off. One more word. Character is defined as what you do when nobody is watching. Take care.